So today we are going to be using the Sketchbook X app to create a representation of a digital tattoo, what you would like people to remember about you when they see you online. What is it that you want to leave behind as a part of your legacy, your footprint, what they think of when they think of you when you are online? So when you open up the app, there may already be something on the screen. To start a new page, if you go up to this top corner here and tap on those little squares, it may give you an option to say save or don't save. Obviously this is some scribble, so I'm going to pick don't save. If it's something good, obviously hit save. And that will take you to the screen where you're going to be starting to build your picture. To start a new drawing, I'm going to tap on this little plus right here. And if you want, you can turn your iPad to go the portrait way rather than the landscape way. If you feel that's going to work easier for you to create your drawing, that's absolutely fine. And the first step you're going to have to do is get a drawing tool by tapping up here. And there's a variety of drawing tools here. I would suggest that you use one or two of these pen tools. And you're going to want to pick black for the outline. Make sure that the opacity, which means how much transparency is, that it's all the way to 100%. And you do want to have a fairly wide line. I think the bottom one will let you make a little bit of a wider line. And then if you tap on your screen, you're going to get your blank screen. Now this is where it gets tricky. You're going to have to hold your hand over top of the iPad without touching it, and you're going to trace around it. Now you can do your hand, or if you want to do more of your arm or your wrist, just make sure we can tell what it is when you trace. And if you're having a hard time with the tracing, let a friend help you out with the tracing, and while you hold it, but it's a little tricky. And so what I'm going to just do is take my stylus and just kind of run it around the edge of my hand. And remember, this does not have to look perfect. Oops, and I lost that part there. That's okay. And if your fingers are cut off or part of your wrist, absolutely no worries. Got a couple of funny little marks there. I'll show you how to take care of that in a minute. Now when you're done, take a look to make sure you have no gaps, that colors are going to bleed through. Oops, this is your undo right here. So I see right here that I have lots of little gaps up here at the top when I zoom in. I need to make sure that my lines go all the way to the top. And I'll show you how to erase those other little pieces in just a minute. And I also notice down here, this is a little tiny one that you've got to make sure that bottom corner is kind of hard to get. If you have something you need to erase, go ahead, and there's two erasers here. Again, you can adjust the opacity and the size of them. So get them to the right size, and you probably want them to be real thick or thin, and just erase any little spots that you need to. And there you've got your outline done for your tattoo. Next thing you're going to do is go back up into here, and we're going to change to the paint bucket. And you're going to pick a color for inside the hand and for the background. You do not have to have a realistic color for your hand if you don't want. I just keep in mind, if you do a light color for your hand, it will be easier to write over top of with dark. If you do a dark color, you'll have to write over top of it with light color. So just keep that in mind with whatever you pick. So I'm just going to kind of pick that color to fill on the inside of my hand. And if it goes into your background, that means you have another little spot where the color is leaking through. Go back and find it. And then go ahead and pick a color for your background, and you've got lots of options. Play around with your color wheel to find one that you think is going to look good along with whatever color you've picked. And I'm going to go ahead and fill that in. And I've got a couple of little spots to fill in. So now I've got the whole thing solid color. Now, this is really important. We don't want to draw on this layer, and I'll show you why in a minute. I'm going to tap over in this corner, and this is going to allow me to add another layer to the drawing. And Sketchbook X will let me do up to 3 layers. I'm going to hit this little plus, and what this is going to do, it's kind of like putting a piece of clear paper over top of your background that you can write on. And what's great about that, let me go back over here and get just a, so that when I write something, if I don't like it and I need to erase it, it will erase just what's on the top layer. It will not erase what's on this layer. Whereas if I go to this layer, I'm tapped on that layer now, and if I go to erase, you see it's going to erase everything. I'm going to hit my undo. So make sure you create a new layer before you start building your tattoo. Now I would like for you in your tattoo, and again, now you can use any of these drawing tools that you want. I would like you in your tattoo to either put your name or your initials in some way. So I'm going to, and remember you can pinch to zoom in, so that's probably a good idea. So I'm going to just put my initials. And then I want you to think of what you want to put in here to represent you in your life. What is it that you want people to think about you when they find you online? What is important that they see about you? For me, I think it's important that people recognize that I'm creative. That's pretty important to me. So I am going to use as a symbol of that creativity, I am going to draw, oops, that's my cat, if you heard my cat, little meow. I'm going to draw just like a little paintbrush right here. That's supposed to represent a paintbrush. And I'm going to just take some colors. I'm going to use this one right here. I'm going to have it be a little bit see-through now because I kind of want my background to show through a little bit. So I'm going to make it kind of look like it's painting. Ooh, that didn't quite do what I wanted. Let me try something different. Let me try that one. Oh yeah, that's a little better. Let's see. It's still not transparent enough. Let me get it real transparent. There, that's good. All right. So now I want that a little wider. There we go. So now I've got that for one creative thing. This is going to be another creative thing. This is going to be another creative thing. And this is going to be another creative thing. All right. So, and then if I want it, like here on my paintbrush, I maybe can, kitty, get away. If I want to use a fill, I can use a fill to flood fill it again, that little spot. Ooh, that didn't work. So I'd have to think again where it's leaking through. But I think you can kind of see the idea of how you can use a variety of tools to be able to make this look really, really awesome. Now I want to write down a few more words just to stand for the things that I want people to remember about me. So I'm going to write over top of this one here, I'm going to write creative. And you just do a combination of words and pictures. So this one I want people to realize I'm creative to help people learn. I like to be creative. I like to share how I'm creative so that people get ideas of what they can do. I like to be creative when I teach. So I want them to know that. And finally, I like to be creative when I share about my faith. So I'm going to put faith down there as well. And so now I've got all these different things that are going to be a part of my digital tattoo. I really don't care how you put it together. Just use your imagination. Think about what you want people to know about you if they see you on the internet. Combine words and pictures to make your tattoo. You can be as creative as you want. One more trick you can do. I want to maybe put some color underneath there. If I want to add a third layer, I can. I'm going to grab it right here, and I want to put it underneath where I did this writing here. And if I tap on that one, now I could go back in and I can take and, oops, I don't want that color. Let me get the color I want. I can go back in and I can kind of write underneath where the text is or where my lines are. And it's not going to cover up my lines. So I can add a few other little creative touches if I want. Maybe I want this to have something on it. I think you get the idea, but that will allow you to write underneath your writing in some way if you think that that would help you out as well. When you're done, you are going to tap right again up in that top corner. Make sure you hit save, and that will save your drawing. It takes a couple seconds. And then the final thing you're going to have to do is save it to your camera roll. So I'm going to tap on it, and then I'm going to go down to this corner here, the little flower with the arrow, and I want to change it to my photo library. If I want to change the orientation on it at that point, I can. I'm just going to keep it the way it is, and it will be saved to my camera roll. And that's how you will create your digital tattoo drawing.